Creating a positive impact in the world requires a certain level of understanding about a given problem and a concerted strategy to create change. I believe people working as change makers need to be responsible for sharing what they do, how they do it, and why. Our goal is to change the world, and we need to be held accountable for that. To understand how I use business to do peace building and sustainable development, it's important to understand why I do it and what perspective informs it. And I'll tell you why. Cognitive bias is a systemic thought process caused by the tendency of the human brain to simplify information processing through a filter of personal experience and preferences. The filtering process is a coping mechanism that enables the brain to prioritize and process large amounts of information quickly. While the mechanism is effective, its limitations can cause errors in thought, such as logical fallacies. It is not possible for anyone to completely eliminate bias from their thought process. Trust me, I've tried. Awareness of our biases is the most effective way to mitigate them and limit the logical fallacies they create. This is also why diversity and inclusion is vital in every field of work and study. To devise the most innovative solutions to the world's challenges, we must include people with different lived experiences. Unique perspectives result in unique solutions. When we bring these unique solutions together, we can understand problems more deeply and intentionally create holistic solutions to them. That's why, when I'm talking about my work, it's important to identify the information and theories that inform the perspective I have about sustainable development and peace building. Part of that is identifying the worldview that informs my perspective and underpins my own inherent biases. Worldview. Our worldview is constructed by our lived experiences, the events that happened in our lives, the schooling we received, the trauma and privilege we did or did not experience, the beliefs we were conditioned to have growing up, as well as the culture and society we are a part of. All of these factors construct the way we see the world in our core belief system. Perceived truths and core beliefs construct our individual realities. Just ask any politician. The truth isn't what matters most. What matters most is people's perception of that truth. I used to believe all people saw the world the exact same way, like there was some inherent right way and wrong way to live life. In reality, there are 8 billion people in the world, which means there are 8 billion individually constructed realities, 8 billion ways to live. It's impossible for me to see the world through someone else's eyes, but the best I can do is to share how I see certain aspects of the world and create the space necessary to learn from other people's perspectives that informs theirs. I do not know where any other person came from, how they may understand knowledge differently than me, how their education system influenced their beliefs, how their trauma shaped the way they engage with the world. How can I judge another person when I do not actually know them in their lived experience, when I do not understand their perspective and the reality that they live in? I'm a peace builder first by acknowledging my ignorance of others, especially those I'm trying to help. By recognizing my ignorance of others, I'm better equipped to actually listen to people when they speak. By observing the way people engage with themselves and their lives, I can learn new ways to engage with my own. I cannot expect others to behave according to my belief system, my ideals of the right ways and wrong ways to live. I cannot, in fact, have any expectations of them all. Every person in the world is doing the best they can based on where they're at and the resources they have access to right now. That is why acknowledging worldviews and how they differ is so vital to peace building and sustainable development. We cannot support others to live a better life when we do not have respect for what better means to them. My work in business is actually grounded in peace building. After high school, I set out to create a positive impact in the world. My path began as a counterterrorism analyst in the U.S. Army. Over the following 15 years, my work has shifted a lot, but the goal has always been the same: to decrease violence and suffering in the world. When I joined the U.S. Army at 19, I genuinely thought I was signing up to make the world a better place. I thought I was volunteering my life to be a defender of the freedom I cherished so deeply, while being of service to others. When I was in Afghanistan, I worked in a role that allowed me to engage with local Afghans and people we had deemed terrorists. In these conversations with my supposed enemies, I began to see myself in their stories. Like me, their country had come under attack, and they picked up a weapon to defend it. Like me, they did what they had to do to meet their basic human needs of food, water, shelter, and security. Like me, they wanted education and opportunity and longed for respect for their people and their way of life. In my work today, my goal is to help all people have access to the opportunity represented by the American dream, regardless of where they live. I want everyone to have the privilege to dream of a better life and access to the opportunity to create it. I want to create a world where everyone has the privilege not only to survive, but to thrive. What if all people had access to the knowledge and resources that are the foundation for opportunity to be built upon and seized? Second-generation human rights is one of the theories that informs my worldview and my work. It is the idea that every human has the inherent right to freedom and liberty, food and water security, physical security, including housing, access to mental and physical health care, and access to opportunity through infrastructure, education, and dignified employment. With equitable access to these 5 things, everyone has opportunity to build a meaningful life for themselves. Everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Now, many people think second-generation human rights, ensuring adequate housing, education, and dignified work for all, is some socialist scheme, some form of charity or handout. In actuality, providing these things isn't charity or welfare. It is the inherent responsibility of the state. When humans formed societies, we did so because we realized we had a better chance to survive and be happy if we worked together. In forming societies, people agreed to give up some of their freedoms and pay taxes in exchange for better survival chances, increased leisure time, and the opportunity to prosper. Being guaranteed these things is the entire purpose of being part of a society. Our world is constructed based on theories for what people in power consider to be the best governmental, economic, and societal systems to create the optimal conditions for humans to prosper. Unfortunately, those in power have failed to represent the diverse needs of the people because in the past, these systems have been designed primarily by white men based on the worldviews and needs of white men. Because of this, the way these systems were constructed has resulted in injustice, exploitation, and oppression for the vast majority of the world's population, while those in power profit and gain more power off of the systems that they manipulate. The climate crisis, global wealth inequality, the decimation of indigenous cultures and animals are not things that just happened out of nowhere. They are the direct result of the societal, economic, and governmental systems that were put in place. Systems that prioritize profit for the few over the well-being of the many. My work focuses on harnessing the power of business and the economy to create the foundation for peace to exist by ensuring everyone has access to the resources they need to thrive. My passion is to support people to create the change they, their communities, and the world needs. Recognizing we all have equally valid worldviews and lived experiences allows us to be able to tame the fires of conflict that divide us. If all people have the privilege of second-generation human rights, we will have constructed the foundation for peace and sustainability to be built upon. This is the bulk of the worldview that informs my work, the way I engage with the world, myself, and those I encounter on my journeys. The life that I live is a privilege that not many have. My goal is to share the knowledge that resulted from the privilege of being born white and in the U.S., so together we can create a world of equity and justice for all.